What's up, y'all? I'm back out here at the range, as you can see, on another bright sunny morning. Temperature's actually supposed to reach around 75 today. Luckily, I'll be probably out of here because, as you can see, I don't have any shade left. All my leaves gone off my shade tree, so 75 ain't too terrible, but with no wind and when that sun comes up, it can get a little warm. But it can definitely be worse, so it should still be a nice day to get some testing done, and this first one ought to be a really interesting 9mm test. So we got the jelly contraption set up, ready to roll with a couple of chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. First test of the day on this batch right here, so a really nice clear picture of what happens. I've got my heavy clothing barrier, of course, with a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we're checking out this time is nothing new as far as the round, but we're putting a little bit of a twist in it. So as you can see, we've got the 9mm Hornady Critical Defense here. This is their 115 grain with the FTX projectile. Ballistics on this is saying 1135 from the muzzle, and that's out of a 4-inch barrel. Now, I'm sure y'all know the claim to fame on this Critical Defense is that polymer tip on this FTX projectile, supposed to prevent clogging, so on and so forth. But I'm curious to see, and I know a lot of people have been, because I get this comment on almost every Critical Defense video that I do. A lot of folks are interested to see what would happen if these did not have that polymer tip. So that's exactly what we're gonna find out here today. So I got a couple rounds. As you can see, both of them exactly the same brass case. Both of them got that FTX projectile, but as you can see there, I was very, very careful, didn't disturb the cavity there, didn't flare it out or anything. So this ought to be really, really interesting to see what these things do with and without that polymer insert. If I was making a guess personally, I don't think we're gonna see much difference in performance here. It's always kind of been my fault sometimes on some of these Critical Defense tests that little polymer tip insert actually gets in the way of expansion. That could just be me looking for something different, but I don't think we're gonna see a whole lot of difference here. Now, I'm just gonna use a single barrel length on this test. Since they said 4-inch was what they got these ballistics from, we're gonna use exactly that. I've got my G19 Gen 5 with the 4-inch barrel. So this should be very interesting to see if there is actually a difference between the tipped and non-tipped version here. Let me get it all set up and let's find out. All right, let's check the velocity on this stuff. I'm gonna do a 5-round average on it. Now, all of these are with the insert still in it. I'm not gonna bother running 5 without an insert for the velocity. That's not gonna make any difference in velocity. If it did, these things are under a grain in weight, so anything you might see would just be within the margin of error within the variance. So 5-round average. Now they're saying 1135 on these, so out of a 4-inch barrel, we ought to see that. If y'all not familiar with this lab radar, you're gonna see multiple velocity readings. That large number is right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the other set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. So 1135 is what we're looking for here. We'll probably see that normally. Well, I won't say normally, but Critical Defense is usually pretty good about that. 1111, it just made a liar out of me instantly. 1119, 1087, 1108, and 1093, so it did not hit what the box said out of the 4-inch. Let's check out the average. All right, so we were looking for 1135 and we got a 5-round average of 1104, so a little bit off there, probably within the spread. Well, it is within the spread because we had an extreme spread of 32 with a standard deviation of 13.4. Now, we didn't see anything with 1135. The highest we saw was 1119, but since that is within that spread, I mean, you could chalk it up to atmospheric conditions or whatever. And we all know those ballistics are gotten under incredibly perfect conditions. So this isn't spicy 9mm by any means, but it's probably still gonna do a decent job in the gel. But let's get it all set up. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's with or without the red, you still getting put to bed jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each into the gel, starting with the normal inserted one first. With this velocity, I mean, we probably still gonna get good stuff in the gel. Let's see what happens. All right, that should have been a nice one. Let's go see what we got. All right, y'all, that should have been a nice one, but it wasn't because it went out the side. So let's try that again. All right, that's where I wanted it to go the first time. Let me go check that out. All right, looks like we got some good stuff down there with that one. So let's try this one without the insert in it and see if it really is just the tip. All right, that should have been another perfect placement. Let's go see what we got. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. Very, very interesting stuff, and I'm glad to see what I'm seeing because it really kind of gives you an example of what I mentioned at the start of this as far as these inserts almost kind of pre-clogging, if you will, the cavity and, you know, not expanding as much. So I got you at a little bit of a high angle here so you can see behind this first one that came out the side. I have to take the blame for that one. I put that a little close to the edge, but it was in straight and curved out. But anyway, behind that, that's the second one, or the first one with the insert that we kept. As you can see, very, very nice energy transfer, disruption there, no question that it expanded immediately, travels through this block, and looks like you've got forward momentum of probably 13, maybe 14 right there, and it did keep that insert with it all the way, which normally we do see with this 9mm, and then it dumps it out somewhere, and you got some nice expansion from that one as well. But then down here on the bottom, this was the one without the insert. There is definitely a difference, without a doubt. Probably not the difference that most people might have expected or thought we would see if there was a difference, you know, because these inserts talk about anti-clogging. That wasn't the case here. As you can see, this one again comes in here, very nice transfer. It's got a little bit bigger disruption right here because as you can see, and as we'll see when we pull them, this one definitely expanded more. But once again, nice disruption through the block here, and because this one expanded more, it did stop short on the penetration. You're about 1.5 to 2 inches short of the one with the insert. So as far as how much on the penetration, the one with the insert, we're at exactly 13 inches, which means the one without the insert is actually down here at 11.25 inches. So we're already seeing for sure what the real purpose of that insert is. And then here's your close-up look at them again. On the top, that's the insert. On the bottom is the non-insert. You can clearly see a difference from this angle. Now from above, it's not near as much of a difference, but you can see though, you got definitely more expansion because you got more disruption up front and early, and it carried a little further. And then there's absolutely no doubt before I even pull them, you can see right there, obviously the one without the insert got more expansion. And then here's the look from above, pretty much the same thing. As you can see, both of them really nice looking in the gel, but there is obviously a difference right there. All right, let's check out these projectiles, y'all. As you can see, there is definitely a pretty significant difference right here. This was without the insert, this was with the insert. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you can see there a whole lot more expansion without this insert, which is not really what I thought would happen. I figured it might clog without that insert, but again, like I mentioned at the beginning, it seems like through a lot of testing, and you can see it right here, that insert almost pre-clogs, if you want to say it that way. It pre-clogs the cavity, so more than just preventing clogging, it's giving you controlled expansion. That's what the big benefit of this insert is. It's obvious now, no doubt about it. So not so much clogging, because this didn't clog at all. In fact, it expanded as much as it could and then some. But let's get some measurements on them and see what that looks like. As far as the weight, this one without the insert here is at 114.6, so I would say that's probably just from the insert. You may have lost a few crumbs of lead there. The one with the insert, that one is also 114.6, and then if we throw the insert back on, then we're at 115.2. So like I mentioned at the beginning, this insert is less than a grain, but it does have a little weight. I doubt that these lost anything, maybe a couple of crumbs, but not much at all. And then let's check out the sizes on them. Definitely a difference. Both of them had good expansion, but there's definitely a difference. This one from the, or with the insert, is 466 and 485. So again, nice expansion right there. And then this one without the insert is 577 and 578. So obviously more expansion right there, but to pay for that expansion, you had to give up the penetration. So there you go, y'all, the Hornady Critical Defense 9mm with and without the tip or insert. Very interesting stuff right here. Again, I really didn't expect much difference. If anything was going to happen, I would have said it would have clogged without the insert, just because, I mean, that's really what most people think of that insert for, is anti-clogging purposes, but that was not the case at all. So as far as questioning, is it just the tip? It ain't just the tip, but that tip definitely makes a difference. As we've already talked about, big time extra expansion right here. This much more controlled expansion, but still plenty of expansion, and you got that extra penetration like I personally definitely want to see. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna call it right there for a pretty interesting way to start the day of testing. Not really what I expected to see out here. I thought if there was going to be a difference, that would be clogging, just because that's what everybody thinks about that insert. It's there to keep it from clogging, but as you can plainly see, that is definitely not the case. It does not clog without that tip. In fact, it expands like crazy without that tip. So let me know down in the comments what y'all think about the results here. Is this what you thought would happen? Did you think it would clog without the insert? Did you think there was going to be no difference at all? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you did enjoy the video, take a second if you would and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload new videos. Take a second if you would and check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you get after hitting those links up, I do get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really appreciate that. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more really interesting tests planned for today, so stay on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.